Man, people, there's a couple of ships with a whole bunch of bad people who do bad things on them. I'd like to know where they're at. I think we deserve a right to know, especially being this is 4th of July coming up here, and we got lots of people who boat around the East Coast. And if those two ships have already unloaded and if they are headed north, I think we got a right to know. I think if they are headed north, I think that they need to not cancel 4th of July or anything, but I think they need to tell everybody that's on a ship, hey, look, these bigger boats, they assert their right aggressively, and they'll plow through you, and they will try to radio you, and if you don't get the answer, they'll shoot you out of the water. They don't care. They've got those fast attack boats that are heavily armed. People are always at high ready on the guns, and if it's international waters, even if it's off our East Coast, they have a right to shoot you if you are in their way, because smaller boats are supposed to give way to bigger boats. This is a problem. This is an issue. We don't need jerks like that in the Atlantic, but they're there. So the question is, are they traveling north? Have they already unloaded? Now, I'll give you a little backstory too. One of the ships is named after a ship that we blew up, which they don't realize. They don't take into account what it's long-standing tradition in naval history that you don't rename a ship, and you don't name a ship because it's unlucky, and you don't name a ship after a ship that's been sunk, unless you called it the Two or something like this. Well, it doesn't. Not that doesn't matter. I'm just saying. They might as well be calling that one the Sahand Revenge. Okay, seriously. That's where they're at on that. So the first one, a little backstory. The first Sahand, S-A-H-A-N-D, was built in Britain for the previous government before the Islamic Revolution happened. Okay? And then they took it and they renamed it. And they named it the Sahand after a volcano. Well, there was the Islamic Revolutionary War, and it was sunk in Operation Praying Mantis. You can look that up. If they don't have it all buried deep or shadow banned or what. Operation Praying Mantis in 1988. They sunk it. A couple of American A6E intruders of Attack Squadron 95 did the first couple. They basically, it was 10 miles southwest of Laroque Island. It was hit by 2 Harpoon missiles and 2 AGM-123 Skipper 2 laser-guided bombs. This sunk or put it out of commission, and then to finish it up, they hit it with a pair of Rockeye cluster bombs and a single harpoon from the USS Joseph Strauss DDG-16. DDG is a destroyer with guided missiles, DDG. That's the nomenclature. It just happens to be number 16. Okay. So they basically, it was on its side enlisting and on fire, and they left it. And then after all of this, the fire engulfed its magazine of munitions, and the whole thing is now 656 feet down in the ocean. This should be called the Sahand Revenge. See, there's a lot of in the same way that people have I search for words. They put onto something owned by someone, they give it sentimental value. Naming a ship after a ship that's already been sunk by what you consider to be your enemy, and we consider to them to be basically a terrorist state's what they're doing. Naming it that in itself lets you know what its presence is about. So it has the number 74 on the side of it. So if you see this off the coast, the littler one is going to be the 74. The larger one will be 441. It's that much bigger. It's a tanker that they welded a big plate for landing helicopters on top of. They basically landed, they welded a flight deck on top of a tanker and changed it. I'll put some pictures up. The problem is, not only was it heavily laden when it left Iran, because the water line was above, there's a red ribbon around the bottom of this boat, and it was deep in the water because it was heavily laden. But it only took on a certain amount of fuel, because it's a fuel tanker. It was taking on fuel, and yes, it was going to Venezuela. They've had other tankers that have gone there recently, and it said that a couple of them were operating illegally and didn't have any kind of Iranian flags, and so I guess they were seized. So that made Iran mad a little bit, but also they just lost a large vessel that was their other, what they call, it's a forward operating base on water is what it is. It's a military operating base. There's a lot of people on there. It's a whole army in itself. And they're able to stay out 1,000 days at a time. So with them only taking on a certain amount of fuel to go to Venezuela and not being completely full, that's why they think they were selling arms to Venezuela too. They're probably not just arms on there, there's probably the mechanics on building missiles in Venezuela. That's a problem. Okay, so that is the Macron. Okay, the Sahand is a smaller one. It's like a destroyer. They call it a Moj class, M-O-W-J, but it's like, we would say it Mooj, M-O-U-D-G-E, but it's really Moj, M-O-W-J. Okay, think of that as a destroyer that's going to rally around that, but also they have 7 of those NAT boats, which in themselves are high-speed attack boats, and they've got missiles on them. They've got missiles that shoot off of them, and there are torpedoes involved here. And these torpedoes are the super cavitational type that go hyper fast. They create a bubble in front of them, and they go hyper fast when they're launched. They already launched one the other day and did a test, and it was not armed, but they launched it probably just to check its speed. 200 miles an hour under the water. 200 miles an hour, these torpedoes. Not to mention that they can pull up beside a boat and stick a mine on it and blow it. That's what they did. And they found some, and then they took them off the other time. But look, they're not going to take them off for what they're trying to do. This is my understanding of it, is they're going to take what fuel they have and everything and get a lot lighter and take that to Venezuela. And then, oh, mystery trip to Cuba. Hey, let's go on vacation. No. An excuse to get even closer to our East Coast and maybe even come up while we're having 4th of July celebrations. We've got lots of little boats up there that there's no way that would work out well. No way. Because if you don't get out of one of those boats' way, they have the right of way, especially in international waters, and they can plow you, they can shoot you, they can do anything they want to do. That's their right. It's kind of messed up, but it is what it is. Smaller vessels are supposed to give way to bigger vessels because they can move out of the way. This is why we have a right to know. To tell the American public, hey, if they do something like this, you should know. If you're a mariner, you know, you might want to move your boat and be out of their way. It's not just about navigational buoys anymore. Now it's about naval warfare. People are going to have to learn rules of naval warfare. And if you have an American flag on your boat while you're going too close to them, that could be considered as an act of war. And all of a sudden we're at war with them. There's all these little rules. And they're pushing them pretty hard. They take those gnat boats in the Gulf and they run around vessels and they try to say, oh, well, you're in our international waters, we're going to seize you. And then they put their flag. They just put their flag on a French ship and they put it on some kind of propaganda thing. They took the ship, put their flag on it, and they did a whole propaganda thing over it. They took some of our guys a while back, said, hey, you're in international waters. They surrounded them. It's guilty until proven innocent. Or they kill people until proven innocent. So they just lost their other big ship like this that was blown up in the Gulf, and they're not too happy about it. And then a couple of our fighters attacked something going on over there. You know, it's not good. They feel like they have the right to retaliate tit for tat. This is how this little war thing is going. Is they're able to do something because this happened and they have full rights, is what they say, whether they do or not. I think that this boat is supposed to unload and then be on a suicide mission. That's what I think. Look at the name, Sahand, okay? The Macron 441, they just took something and homemade it. That's not something they really care that much about even. They can take another tanker and seize it and build another one. So, they had taken some tankers to Venezuela. I'm pretty sure that this one will be allowed to unload because we wouldn't want an ecological disaster on the water. After that, it'd be nice if they could just sink themselves. But I have to say, just like how Russia was out there off the East Coast, what's called loitering, sitting there for no reason, just loiter. Yeah, no, they were actually mapping our coastline when they went down south, and they were also listening in on radio and figuring out frequencies and that kind of thing. They had a ship that was with them that does that type of thing, a spy ship. It went with them so far and then turned around and left. So they do have the ability to have drones, okay? And if they're flying those drones, you can't shoot them down because that's their property. That'd be just like if you shot at one of their aircraft. They've got, I think, 5 or 7 helicopters on board that the top of the deck, they've got part of it covered and you can't see what's on it. There's a crane on there that's ready to pick up, and they can move those boats, those fast move boats, those fast attack boats can be dropped off of either side of that ship. So you could drop one off on one side and about 15 minutes later drop the other one off on the other side, and he's not even in the other one's way, even if he's not underway yet. And so they can drop them off right, left, just like that. They're not where they want to be right now, or they would have already set up shop. They would have already taken those gnat boats off the side of the ship and put them into service. They are not where they want to be. Now, they did a propaganda video that showed this, oh, it's a trip around the world, right? We're going to sail around the world to show that. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're going to unload in Venezuela. They're going to go north and, oh, well, we're going to do some dealings with Cuba, and then they're going to come up. Now, if they do this little trip around the world, or if they have a problem in the ocean or whatever they do, that's great. That's great. That's absolutely great. If they don't, we have a right to know where they're at. And the people have a right to know if they've already unloaded and if they're trying to come up before our 4th of July. Because you understand, they started this trip and they planned it out. Time-wise, they timed this. They're not stupid. They're not smart, but they're not stupid, because what they're doing is not smart. But I'm just saying, they have intel. And probably given to them by Russia a map of our coastline, because they were just there. And I don't know what happened to that airplane off of Hawaii that was a cargo plane, but Russia has a habit of shooting down cargo planes and passenger jets and all kinds of planes. I put a playlist together on that recently. Well, the one that was downed, the pilots lived. So I know their take on what happened. But now they don't have to shoot a missile, they can shoot lasers. That's a problem. And they were just off the coast of Hawaii. So if they figure, oh, well, this looks like it might be military and they're flying over where we're doing things and we have the right to shoot them, that could have happened. I don't know. What I do know is if you see a tanker with a flat welded top on top of it and it doesn't make the news, and there's another attack frigate next to them, a Mooch class with a number 74 on it, and the 441 on the side of the big ship, in big numbers now, and they're gray with a red line around the big one. Okay, well, at water level, it's a big red ribbon around it, and the front of the bow, it's not a bulbous bow, it doesn't stick out, it goes in. Like the difference between a belly button, an innie or outie. This is an innie, it goes in the front a bit above the water line, and there'll be helicopters on top of it. The fast attack boats will probably be already running around harassing people, and I think that's their plan. So there could be God knows how many people on board, hundreds. All of them, they could even drop people off and make them sleeper cells. We don't know if they're not trying to fly people in from Venezuela, dropping them off there, but if they travel north, this is a problem for regular boating people, because in the interim, in the time when no one does anything about it, what could happen is there could be a couple people on a yacht just cruising, and they don't know what's going on, and they make the Iranian ship could make a dangerous maneuver into them and say, oh, you have to move now. Well, you wasn't there a second ago, but you have to be able to move before they hit you, because that's their route, because they're the bigger ship, and they can do it with their fast attack boats also, and they can board you, take you on board their ship. Man, it could be a whole hostage situation. This could be some issues, people, real issues. We have a right to know their location. I'm asking, where's it at? Anybody's got a ship tracker that they've got points on it? I understand the Navy's tracking them. I get that. We have a right to know once they start headed north. You know what I mean? Because they showed the propaganda video. It showed a track that, oh, we're going to go through the Panama Canal. I don't think that they're going to allow that. I don't think Panama's going to. But if they do, and they go through there, okay, and they go around and they circumnavigate the world, let them go on a happy, merry way and whatever. And it's like you'll catch them another time. If they start heading north, we have a right to know. We have a need to know, so that we can tell all ship traffic to stop. Because there's no working with these people. There's no working with them. Those NAT boats are aggressive, and they're trying to start problems. They hate America. They chant death to America in the streets. It is what it is. So that's all I got. I'm going to put up some pictures of these boats, because if they don't tell us, and you see them, you may want to tell other people, hey, that's the one. That's the one I was told about. And it might keep some people safe. Once they get up towards Cuba, it's all over, because they could get people into Cuba, over to Mexico and up. Our southern border is porous. They made it that way. What's going to happen then when we get a bunch of Iranians coming in the southern border? And it's only half laden with fuel. That means the other half is weapons. What happens when they bring weapons? We will be fighting for our independence. Yeah, scary stuff. You're right, brother. It really is. You know? So, God bless you, people. Have a good 4th of July, and hopefully we won't have company. And maybe company will see that we have a need to know. You get where I'm coming from? There is a reason to tell the people if that ship comes north, because we could have a whole bunch of sunken vessels off the east coast, especially when the fireworks is going off, and nobody would know about it until half of them's done. We don't want that. God bless you, people. I'm gonna get off this thing. I got work to do. I will put up in my community some pictures and some links and playlists. I'll do that real quick. I'll put some pictures up of what they look like. And I don't know if they have the ability to put the helicopters at a lower level, but they can land them on that landing pad. I don't know what exactly the top of that deck can do, but they do show a crane. They do show the fast attack boats, 7 of them that they loaded up. And if they were where they wanted to be, they would have already unloaded those boats. Those attack boats have people that go on them. Those people are below decks right now, waiting for orders. They're probably not in communicate with Iran, so those orders are probably already given to them. And it could be a suicide mission one way or another. Either way. They can stick a mine on the side of a ship and blow it up. They move up next to it with the fast attack boat. They stick it. It's a big, huge thing, and it's like worse than 3M. It's hard to get off. They put one on the wrong ship, and they went and tried to get them back off, and it was difficult. So, God bless you, people. Like I said, I'm gonna get off this thing. We need to know that this is clear and present danger, even them being in the Atlantic, because of what all's going on. And the name of that ship tells it all. The Sahand. This should be called the Sahan's Revenge. But there's a big number 74 on that one. That's the small one. And a big number 441. And a red ribbon around the 441 on the bottom of it. It's huge. It's an oil tanker that's been modified. And it is in the Iranian proxy National Guard war army, whatever you want to call it. Like, I wish I could describe this better. I described it as best as I know how. Just know that it's happening.